UFC 308 is this weekend, and today we're going to be talking about the most prominent narratives surrounding the card, the best, the worst, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on them. So stick around to hear my thoughts on the best and worst narratives heading into UFC 308. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. The first narrative that I want to get into for UFC 308 is that Ilia Topuria is going to knock out Max Holloway. Now, I'm going to make a separate video that's a prediction and breakdown for this fight. But let's talk about this narrative, is that Ilia Topuria is going to KO Max Holloway. Is this a good narrative or a bad narrative based on what I think is going to happen in this fight? In terms of just the possibility of it happening and the narrative fulfilling itself, I think that Ilia KOing Max Holloway is a big possibility. I think it's a good narrative. I obviously don't want to see Max get knocked out, but I think this is a valid narrative because Max Holloway struggles against... I'm not saying Max is going to lose, but I'm just talking about as reasonable objective analysis of this narrative. I think it's very possible that Ilia knocks out Max Holloway viciously because Ilia Topuria is a power puncher. Max Holloway is not. I think that any boxing exchanges that happen in this fight are going to go to Ilia Topuria because they both have crisp boxing, but Max is hittable and Ilia hits really hard. That's one. Two, Max struggles greatly with shorter opponents. He had a hard time with Jose Aldo. He lost to Volk 3 times. Ilia is a shorter opponent. I think that Max is actually at this point more suited for 155. I think that he's older. It's better for him to cut less weight. I thought he looked great against Gaethje. I think they should have left him in that weight class, but I understand the UFC looks at lightweight and they're like, we have too many stars. We got to have stars at 145 as well. That's why Max KOs the number 3 guy in Justin Gaethje and only gets put at number 9 at lightweight. Given the things that I've mentioned, Ilia Topuria being a KO artist, huge power, slick boxing, will sit down on shots. Max Holloway does really not sit down on shots. And that's why I think Ilia is going to clip Max early, and Max is either going to invite some wild exchanges and get KO'd, or Max is going to get slightly gun shy and try to fight a very strategic game plan. So although I'm not saying Max Holloway is going to get knocked out necessarily, I do think that the narrative that Ilia Topuria is going to knock him out is a very possible outcome of this fight. And I'm going to say that is a good narrative. That's not necessarily a bad narrative from a truth standpoint or a possibility standpoint. The next narrative going to UFC 308 that I've been hearing a lot is that Khamzat is going to miss weight or he's going to pull out. I don't think he's going to. I think that actually his career at this point relies on him showing up to this fight and winning. I think that the fanfare and the fan interest in Khamzat is definitely fading because he's so wishy-washy. He can't show up to fights. His health is a problem. He can't make weight and he can't travel either. So I don't think he's going to. I think that he's going to show up for this fight. I think he's going to lose, but I think he's going to show up for this fight and the fight's going to take place because his career depends on it. But the narrative makes sense. The narrative absolutely makes sense. I don't even really need to explain this. You guys that follow MMA, we know Khamzat. He has health issues. He has visa issues. He pulls out of fights. He has weight cutting issues, all these different things. It is a valid narrative to say that Khamzat Chimaev will pull out of this fight at UFC 308 against Robert Whittaker. Although I don't think it's going to happen, I understand exactly why this narrative is out there. So the next narrative for UFC 308 that I want to talk about is that Rob Whittaker is washed and never will be champ again. Now, Rob Whittaker is not champion anymore. He's lost multiple title fights. He's lost to Israel Adesanya for the belt twice. I understand why people might think he's not elite level or maybe the game passed him up, but he's still in 2024, 6 years, I think, 6 years after being champion, he's still in the top 5. He's the number 2 or 3 ranked guy behind Izzy and Sean Strickland. He's a top 3 guy in the world 6 years after becoming champion. He's still relatively young and he's beating top guys. He's beaten Vettori, Costa, Cannonier, and he just beat Aliskerov, who people were saying, oh, he might catch Rob Whittaker too. Now, if he gets a win over Khamzat, we're talking title fights for Rob Whittaker. So this narrative, I think, is not a good one, and I don't think it's very valid, and I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense, but I have seen people saying Rob's washed, Khamzat's going to just whoop his ass. Khamzat's going to dog walk him. Khamzat's going to maul him, submit him in the first round, all of that stuff. As many people that are saying Khamzat's going to pull out, the same amount of people are saying that Khamzat is going to smoke Rob Whittaker in this fight. but I think Rob could and will get it done. So I definitely disagree with the narrative that's out there that Rob Whittaker is washed and or will never be champ again. The next narrative going into UFC 308 that I want to talk about is that Magomed Ankalaev should be fighting for the belt. He is the #1 contender. He should be fighting Alex Pereira, not Alexander Rakic. I disagree with this. I understand why many people think this, but this is not objectively an accurate narrative. Magomed Ankalaev, he had a draw for the belt against Jan Blachowicz, said he was going to leave the promotion because of the judges. Unbelievable pussy shit. And then has a no contest with Johnny Walker where he should have had a DQ loss because it was an illegal knee and Johnny Walker couldn't continue. I'm in the desert. You guys remember that. And then KOs Johnny Walker and then calls for Alex Pereira to meet him in Abu Dhabi, trying to tell the champ what to do, trying to tell the champ where to come defend the belt. It's dumb. Magomed Ankalaev should be fighting Rakic, and even after winning this fight, he probably should rematch Jan Blachowicz. If Alex Pereira moves up to heavyweight to fight Tom Aspinall or somebody like that, you can do, I don't know, Ankalaev versus somebody for an interim belt, or you can do Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz rematch. You can't reward the run that Ankalaev has been on. You get submitted by Paul Craig. You should have gotten DQ'd against Johnny Walker. It's not impressive. Rakic is an impressive win, but Magomed Ankalaev is not the #1 contender. I know it might make the most sense because of his win streak, but it's fraudulent, and I actually think Rakic might beat him this weekend. So Magomed Ankalaev should not be fighting Alex Pereira. He should not be the #1 contender. I think this is a BS narrative that he is a #1 contender. Moving on from there, the next narrative going into UFC 308 is that Shara Bullet is overrated. I agree with this narrative. I think that Shara Bullet is overrated. I think that he has no grappling, and it's not going to get tested in this fight. He's fighting another kickboxer. He's fighting Armin Petrosyan, and that hole in his game is not going to be exploited in this fight, most likely. It's going to allow him to throw those kicks quickly, where he goes calf kick, front kick, head kick, backing up too. It's really impressive striking. It really is, but he just doesn't have a sense of urgency. And he hasn't really had to deal with a high-level grappler. I think that Shara Bullet is overrated, and I think as soon as he faces a top 15 guy, as soon as he faces a wrestler, they were talking about Shara Bullet against Marvin Vettori at one point. I think Marvin Vettori 30-27s him via decision. And Marvin Vettori is not even that good. He's just tough. So that's my thoughts on the best and worst narratives heading into UFC 308. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps me out a lot. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, then become a channel member today for access to members only live streams, vlogs, and some other members perks. So click the link in the description down below or the join button on our channel homepage to become a member today. If you're interested in some non-MMA content from me, go check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World, and go check out my weekly comedy podcast, What's Up Bro, with Wyatt and Bo. Both of those are linked in the description down below. Go watch this suggested video, and we'll see you next time.